Hi, it's Maggie the Irish Gypsy here to bring you your September 2018 mid-month general readings. Thanks for joining us here today. Welcome to any newcomers, and thank you to all those of you who continue to follow my YouTube channel and all your likes, shares, and subscribes, and for continuing to keep me so busy with personal one-on-one readings. All of my regular and new clients out there, it's always an honor and a pleasure. Thank you. If any of you are interested in a personal one-on-one reading with me, live or recorded, you can get more info on my contact details by either going to my YouTube channel's homepage, clicking on that little About button, or you can click on the description bar of any of the videos that I post. I do readings full-time, 5 to 6 days a week, so turnaround time is usually pretty quick. I can usually get back to you within the first 24 hours of your initial contact. And scheduling can be anywhere from a few days upwards of a couple of weeks, but almost always within a 2-week period of time or so. I do a wide variety of readings in all areas of life, and I'd be delighted to work with you. So if you're interested, send me an email at maggie1McGuire@gmail.com. I'd be delighted. You can also find me on the smartphone app Instant Go under Irish Gypsy, and that link is also provided. That's good for quicker answers to the easier, fast questions. But for the traditional readings, just send me an email and we'll set something up for you. All right, let's move right into this reading. This is for the Earth sign of Virgo for the remainder of September 2018. So we're looking at the last half of September. If you know your rising and moon sign, watch those videos as well because they can provide sometimes some helpful clarification. General readings always resonate a little differently because there's so many of you watching, although the energy always remains the same. All right, Virgo, we have the Eight of Swords, followed by the Emperor, and Strength, followed by the Nine of Pentacles. From the bottom of the deck, your overall energy and guidance is the Nine of Wands. So it looks like it's all about just pushing through. Your overall energy and guidance for the remainder of September 2018 is the Nine of Wands. I usually refer to this as my 11th hour, the 11th hour card, the card that represents that saying, it's always darkest before dawn. It can represent a feeling perhaps being at a time maybe around, you know, for the last half of September, maybe feeling a bit discouraged or depressed or taken aback by some unexpected last minute delay, challenge, hurdle, obstacle. In the tarot, 10s represent completion or cycles ending. We're at the 9 here, so very close to being at the end of something. And you can see that this man is a soldier. He's dressed for battle. He's fought a lot of battles already. He's tired and he wants to be done. He wants to, you know, be done with his journey, go home, take his armor off, put his slippers on, put his feet up, have a beer, smoke a pipe, be done with all the fighting. He's fought already quite a few battles here. Now, the grouping of wands behind him represent just when he thought he was done with something or finished with something or towards the end of something. It represents, it can be like maybe an unexpected or last minute delay, an obstacle, a challenge, a hurdle of some kind. And he's withdrawn a little bit. He's you know, taken a knee down here and he's trying to figure out, what is this about? Why did I run into this? Why is this coming up now? You know, is this ever going to be done? You know, and it can be a card that represents, you know, feeling discouraged, maybe a bit overwhelmed, and wondering if you should give up or not. Don't. This is the push through card. It's always darkest before dawn. You're almost there. It's just right around the corner. The reason you can't see it is because it's right around the corner. We can't see what's right around the corner because, well, our eyes just don't work that way. So, but you're very close. The 10 is right after 9. So, this is a card that represents you may be feeling discouraged, depressed, overwhelmed, taken aback. You may be feeling like giving up in regards to something, Virgo, but don't because you're closer than you think you are. In fact, you're almost at the completion point. Whatever it is that you've run into, perhaps in an unexpected sort of way, push through it. The accompanying advice to this is always to push through. You have 1 wand, 1 sword, 1 pentacle, and 2 major arcana card. And I feel like for some of you, while it might be relationship oriented for some of you, like relationship in terms of romance or love, I'm not really feeling that for the bulk of you. I feel like there may be a relationship at the center of this. And it can, for some of you, you know, be a boyfriend, girlfriend, husband, wife. It can also be a father for some of you because we do have the Emperor here. And it can also be a work career path situation for some of you. But it definitely looks like it just feels like, it could be that something happened recently, or, that was significant in an already challenging situation, or, it could just be one day that you woke up and it's just more of the same and you're feeling like, I'm tired. Do I want to keep doing this? Can I stay on this path? So we have the Eight of Swords and the Emperor around the middle of the month, third week of the month, time being always fluid. The Eight of Swords is a card that represents feeling trapped, particularly in your thoughts, because swords is air energy. That's the element which governs this suit. And in the tarot, this is mental, cerebral, intellectual energy. This is about how we think, what we think, our perspectives and perceptions and our belief systems, because what goes on up in here directly affects the way that we see, relate, and communicate with the world and people in the world. So it's all about what goes on up in our heads. Mental energy. The Eight of Swords is a card that represents feeling trapped, held hostage, bound by something, powerless, or not able to make, the changes or choices that you want to make. And I never like seeing this card for people, but the positive aspect of it is that it is somewhat illusionary, meaning that the source of the reason that you feel, maybe trapped or held hostage or bound by something, whether it's because you have to or a sense of duty or obligation, what's actually keeping you feeling that way is just a certain perspective. It's about getting out of the perspective and seeing that you can, in fact, free yourself from what this situation represents. Whatever this situation is, it might be a job or career path that you feel stuck in, but you think, oh, I can't leave because it pays the bills, or oh, I can't leave because I won't get another job as good as this, or oh, I can't, leave this relationship or marriage because I've been in it so long, or I don't want to be alone, or, fill in the blank for any of those situations. But you really can. Freeing yourself may not be easy, but there's always a way. And it's about perspective. You can change the way that you feel about something by changing the way that you look at it, getting a different perspective, which this woman can't see because she has a blindfold on. She's on her knees, which implies a sense of vulnerability or helplessness, but nobody's holding her there. The chains which are binding her wrists aren't connected to anything or anyone. With a twist of her wrist, she could free herself, stand up on her own 2 feet, take the blindfold off, see her situation for what it really is. The gaps between these swords are plenty wide enough for her to free herself from. She is not trapped. She always has, or he always has, the choice. Every choice comes with consequences. Sometimes freeing yourself from a situation is not easy, but it is possible and can be done. So remember that the only thing which keeps you feeling like you can't make the changes or choices is the perception, the perspective that you have, that mental energy. This is a card that represents we're our own worst enemy in our thoughts and perceptions. We change those and we can change our lives, basically. So what clarifies it is the Emperor. Now the Emperor is the, like the traditional father, paternal figure of the tarot. He can represent a father or father figure. And for some of you, and I did get this yesterday for one of the other signs, I don't remember which one, there was a paternal figure. For some of you, this might represent an actual father or father figure. It might represent, maybe some of you have an elderly father or grandfather that you might be taking care of or caring for. And, being a caretaker can be kind of an overwhelming, exhausting process, particularly if the bulk of the weight of the responsibility for things falls on you. So you may just be going through this time period where you're like, I just feel like I'm kind of, through duty, obligation, and love, chained to this situation. So it could be about that. The Emperor as a person can also represent someone usually older who's in a position of seniority, some status and authority, decision-making capabilities. It can represent at work. It can represent your boss or supervisor or president or VIP, a judge, someone of some status and authority with decision-making capabilities. Sometimes it can represent someone you may be in a more personal relationship with, boyfriend, girlfriend, husband, wife. Somebody who's maybe on the stern side, maybe a bit on the controlling and domineering side, because the Emperor can be, especially on his bad days. He has a big job, the Emperor. He has an entire empire to run, which is a collection of kingdoms, which is, 1,000,000,001 details. And he has to make sure that, the phone lines are working, the planes and trains and buses run on time, and that's, and delegate and deal with all the little headaches, because if he doesn't, if things don't connect the way that they're supposed to be, there's chaos and the infrastructure begins to break down. So it's a huge job. So every decision he makes, everything that he does affects a wide variety of people. And because of that, he can maybe tend to be on the controlling, domineering, structured, by the book kind of way. He can't help it. It's the way he is, or it's the way he's always been. And it's sometimes helpful to remember this when we're dealing with people who are like the Emperor, particularly older people, because this is just where they come from, and this is how they're used to dealing with things. On an energetic level, it represents, if it doesn't represent an actual person, it can represent structure, adhering to the rules, being responsible and accountable for yourself, making sure that you don't cut corners or take any shortcuts, that everything is about being... I had the word and it just left my head. It's about order and structure and responsibility and accountability. So for some of you, if this doesn't represent an actual person or relationship, it can represent just a situation that you feel challenged by or trapped in, doing the same thing over and over again, or always doing things by the book, maybe wanting to break out a bit of a job, work path, career situation. It could be a relationship or a set of obligations. Some of you, it might be you that's the Emperor, and you're the one that has to you have to manage all of these things, and maybe you would like to do something different, or maybe you fantasize about doing something different. Maybe something came up recently and you're just like, oh, I want to get off this path. What else could I do? But I can't, I'm bound by it. I can't get away from it. And whether or not this is something for you to actually look at getting out of, it's going to depend on your situation, particularly if you're in a caretaking situation, because definitely you can't just walk away from that. But there's other ways that maybe you could look to manage it, get more help, be more structured in how you take care of yourself, and get yourself free time. For other relationships or work situations, if you're truly unhappy in this, and it's it's negative and it's toxic for you, then it's time to start exploring how to remove yourself from this situation, no matter how difficult it might be, because there is a way, and Spirit wants you to have joy and fulfillment in your life. And for others of you, you may just be going through something, may have come up recently. You may just be going through a bit of one of those times where we're just tired, we're just overwhelmed, and we fantasize about, getting on a plane and going to Tahiti and, or Timbuktu and never coming back. Although maybe not Tahiti, it can be kind of expensive there. Canary Islands is good though. But you may just be going through that time. But for some of you, it's about breaking out of a situation that you've been in, I think, for a long time, and you've given yourself a lot of different reasons and excuses for staying in it. But really the reason that you do is because of fear of doing something different, stepping out of your comfort zone. Because at or towards the end of September 2018, we have Strength, the Nine of Pentacles. The Nine of Pentacles is about independence, self-reliance, self-sufficiency, being able to take care of yourself, enjoying the fruits of your own labors, which you've worked for and nobody's handed anything to you, being able to take very good care of yourself and not having to rely and depend on other people. And what crowns it is Strength, which is about facing your fears, your doubts, your insecurities, wrestling with your demons, walking through and dealing with what you're afraid of. This may be something to do with being able to take care of yourself, or being on your own. And maybe even, and Strength can represent, because it takes strength to look at aspects of ourselves that maybe we don't like, that we're weak in, or that bad habits, things that we need to stop doing because they're not good for us. It takes a lot of strength, wisdom, insight, courage, and humility to face our fears and to wrestle with those demons, as this woman has done successfully. The lion is symbolic for whatever it is she had to face and deal with. But it's also what we gain more of by going through this. We find ourselves on the other side, as she has. She has made peace with it. She's made the changes she's able to, and made peace with the rest, and she's moving forward fearlessly. Well, not fearlessly, but courageously in the future. She is in motion. Her head is up. She is brave. And let me tell you something. Fear is the mother of bravery. Fear births courage and bravery, because if we had nothing to be afraid of, there'd be no reason to be brave. What would we need to be courageous about? Fear is the mother of courage and bravery. And sometimes, sometimes flipping up the blanket to see what's under the bed reveals nothing more than dust bunnies, and our fears turn out to be not so big or not so valid. And sometimes they do, and we have to work through that. But that's what Strength is about. It's about facing that and going through that process, because the rewards you get from it, both tangible and intangible, are invaluable. And what clarifies this is the Nine of Pentacles. So independence, self-sufficiency, self-reliance. It could be whatever the actual specifics and details of the situation is. And it's going to be a lot of things for a lot of you because this is a general reading. It could be maybe a long-term relationship or marriage you don't want to get out of. You feel trapped in and you give yourself all kinds of excuses and reasons why you can't leave. A job or work career path, some kind of situation you feel bound by. But the truth is, it's about facing your fears, maybe stepping out of your comfort zone, and realizing that you can actually make changes and quite successfully. And you need to push through that because that's your overall energy. So Virgo, that pretty much wraps up your September, I almost said August, your September 2018 general reading. I hope you've enjoyed it, that you found it helpful. And empowering, because whatever this is, you can do it. You really can, Virgo. I will see you all again in a couple of weeks for the October 2018 general readings. I will be leaving Europe and I should be back in the States, back in California around the beginning of October, so I look forward to seeing you there. Remember, if any of you are interested in a personal one-on-one reading with me, you can please feel free to email me directly at Maggie1McGuire@gmail.com. I'd be delighted to work with you. I do a wide variety of readings in all areas of life. Love and romance, of course, compatibility charting, reconciliation, career work and finance, investment. I do channeled messages from passed on loved ones. And I also do 6 and 12-month overviews, which take a look at what's coming in your life and all the main areas over the next 6 or 12 months, depending on how far ahead you want to look. As well as gift readings, which are usually popular towards the last quarter of the year because of the holidays. So send me an email if you're interested and we will go from there. You can also find me on the smartphone app Instant Go under Irish Gypsy. That link is also provided. Just click on the description bar of any of the videos I post or go to my YouTube channel's homepage and click on the little About button. So I will see you all in a couple of weeks, Virgo, and until then, as always, I wish you joy, peace, blessings, and a happy life. Take care. Bye-bye.